Silence is the language of power. All else is mere echo. Anonymous Hermetic axiom. What if I told you the moment you defend yourself, you've already lost? Sounds backwards, right? But that's the trick the ancients hid in plain sight. Defense isn't strength, it's surrender. In less than a minute, you'll see why silence bends accusations, why even slander can become myth, and how power shifts to the one who refuses to fight. Stay with me, because once you hear this, you'll never look at conflict the same way again. Most people think defending themselves is strength, but here's the twist. Defense is actually energy flowing downward. When you rush to justify, you've already surrendered the higher ground. Picture it. Someone throws a stone in a lake, and the ripples are your reactions. The water is no longer still. It dances to the rhythm of the attacker. But what happens if the lake remains calm instead? Doesn't the stillness carry more power than the splash? Thoth's old teaching echoes this. Whoever reacts has already stepped out of alignment. And Machiavelli, centuries later, hinted at the same paradox. Defending yourself makes you look guilty. The very act of explaining transfers authority to the accuser. I've seen this play out in business meetings. The louder someone insists they're right, the less anyone believes them. Isn't it curious that silence often wins the room without a single word? Think about moments when you rush to defend your choices, maybe a career move, maybe a relationship decision, and ended up drained. The more you spoke, the weaker your position felt. It's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. Your words became fuel. Now imagine instead letting the other person's words hang in the air, unanswered. The echo falls flat. Doesn't that sound like a kind of invisible shield? Here's a quick practice. Close your eyes for 10 seconds, breathe slowly, and picture yourself as a mountain. No matter how strong the wind blows, the mountain doesn't move. That's the posture of someone who refuses to descend into reactive defense. Hold that image. Can you feel the subtle shift in energy? How calmness itself becomes a weapon. The unawakened live by perception, mistaking noise for truth. But the adept knows silence is mastery. In a world where people rush to defend every detail on social media, those who remain still shine brighter. Even accusations become hollow when the target refuses to play. Stay with me, because the next step shows why every attack is less about you and more about the attacker's own shadow. And here's a little secret. Silence doesn't mean weakness, it means control. But if defense is energy spent downward, what exactly are these accusations reflecting back to us? Every attack you face is rarely about you. It's the attacker revealing their own reflection. Imagine accusations like mirrors. The words hurled at you bounce back, showing more of the speaker's wounds than your reality. Jung whispered about this in psychology, but ancient initiates already knew. The shadow always betrays itself through projection. And if projection is the game, isn't silence the most elegant countermove? Think of the last time someone accused you unfairly. Notice how their words carried more about their fears than your truth. A jealous coworker might call you arrogant, but what they're really admitting is their struggle with feeling small. A friend who says you're distant might be wrestling with their own loneliness. Isn't it fascinating how, by not reacting, their own reflection becomes visible to everyone else? The Hermetic teaching frames this as correspondence. The outer world is a stage where inner fractures play out in costume. When someone attacks, they're handing you their script. Do you really want to act out for them? Better to let the script fall from their hands and watch as they stumble over their own lines. How different would your daily conflicts look if you saw them as unpaid auditions of other people's shadows? Here's a practice. The next time someone attacks, don't reply right away. Instead, pause, breathe, and silently ask yourself, what wound of theirs is this revealing? Hold that thought like a lantern. You'll notice the energy shift immediately. Their words lose power, and you gain perspective. Try it right now. Imagine someone criticizing you, and instead of reacting, you watch their reflection. Can you feel the detachment? In digital spaces, accusations echo louder. Comment sections, gossip threads, group chats. But here's the twist. The louder the echo, the clearer the mirror becomes. When you don't answer, their projection amplifies itself, revealing what they never intended to show. And suddenly, the crowd isn't looking at you. They're studying the attacker. Isn't that a reversal of power? But silence isn't just reflection. It's a weapon of vibration. If every accusation is a mirror, then what happens when you stop feeding the illusion altogether? Silence isn't passivity, it's power refined. Think of it like a string on a violin. Pluck it carelessly, and you get noise, but hold it still and intentional, and it vibrates with resonance. Ancient wisdom put it simply, the lips of wisdom are closed, except to the ears of understanding. That means silence doesn't hide truth, it guards it. And isn't guarding your flame more powerful than wasting it on those who can't feel its heat? Picture this in real life. Someone provokes you in a meeting, hoping to spark a defensive rant. Instead, you stay calm, maybe even smile faintly. They stumble, filling the air with their own words, while you remain unshaken. The room senses it. You've shifted from participant to center. Haven't you noticed how silence often makes others speak more than they intended? Let's do a quick practice. Close your eyes, inhale deeply, and on the exhale, release every word sitting on your tongue. Just sit in the quiet for 10 seconds. Notice how the silence feels alive, almost like a shield humming around you. That vibration isn't emptiness, it's influence. How different would your daily interactions be if you carried that vibration everywhere? On platforms and social media, the temptation to respond is huge. One comment, one clapback, one proof to set the record straight. But the moment you reply, you've already played their game. Silence, on the other hand, turns your stillness into a riddle. People lean in wondering, why isn't he answering? And in that curiosity, your presence grows larger. Doesn't mystery often feel louder than explanation? Think of silence as an art of timing. It's not about never speaking. It's about speaking only when the vibration is aligned. Like a sculptor who knows that one wrong strike can crack the stone, the adept waits, choosing fewer but sharper blows. Isn't that the difference between noise and command? But silence alone is not the endgame. If words can be weapons, then reframing reality itself is the true act of mastery. And how does one reframe without falling into defense? That's where the next step comes in. Explaining is surrendering. The moment you bend over backwards to justify yourself, you've already stepped onto someone else's stage. But reframing? That's alchemy. It's the art of shifting the whole context so the attack no longer matters. One phrase, if that is your truth, so be it, ends the tug of war. No anger, no debate, just a quiet seal that shuts the door. Isn't it wild how one line can dissolve an entire conflict? Imagine this. Someone insists you're selfish. Instead of defending, you say calmly, if that's how you see it. Suddenly, there's nothing left to fight. You didn't give them fuel. You took the oxygen from the fire. That simple shift is the law of mentalism in motion. The reality you choose to hold outweighs the one they tried to hand you. Doesn't it feel like holding the pen instead of acting in someone else's script? Here's a practice you can try. Next time someone challenges you, pause and silently reframe it. Instead of, they're attacking me, think, they're showing me their lens. This mental pivot keeps your vibration high while there sinks under its own weight. With repetition, you'll notice your energy stays clear while theirs scatters. Isn't that the kind of control most people spend years chasing? On digital platforms, reframing is even sharper. While others get trapped in endless threads, you can exit with a seal. I honor your perspective. It's not sarcasm, it's sovereignty. You acknowledge without bowing, leaving them with nowhere to push. And those watching, because yes, there's always an audience, feel your authority grow. Haven't you noticed how the one who speaks least often carries the most weight? Here's a secret most never reveal. Reframing isn't just self-defense, it's creation. You're not just ending a battle, you're reshaping the entire field. It's like turning a spotlight so it blinds the attacker instead of you. But to keep this clarity, you can't just reframe with words, you must transmute the very emotion behind them. And that takes us to something deeper. Because reframing is the mind's mastery, but what about when emotion itself flares like fire? How do you turn that heat into power instead of letting it burn you down? Most people think strength is about heat, raising your voice, fighting back, burning with passion. But the adept knows real power comes from coldness, not in the sense of cruelty, but clarity. Picture metal being tempered. It's heated, yes, but only to be cooled into something stronger. In the same way, anger isn't the final state. It's raw or waiting for the alchemy of calm. Haven't you felt how your sharpest decisions came not from rage, but from icy focus? Think about an argument you've had. When you burned with emotion, words tumbled out that you later regretted. But when you held steady, colder, detached, your sentences landed like precision strikes. That's Hermetic polarity in action, rising above fire and ice, not ruled by either. Isn't it fascinating how the calmest person in the room often commands the most respect without raising a hand? Here's something practical. The next time you feel yourself heating up, pause and imagine your breath as cool mist moving through your body. Inhale slowly, exhale like you're blowing fog across glass. 10 seconds of this, and you'll notice the fire shifting into focus. Can you see how even one breath can start turning heat into clarity? Machiavelli called this strategy, never letting opponents see you sweat. But the Hermetic angle is even deeper. Polarity means choosing your frequency instead of being trapped by extremes. You're not frozen, you're sovereign, able to step above the swing of fire and apathy. What would your daily conflicts look like if you treated emotion as raw energy, not destiny? And in the social arena, this becomes alchemy in plain sight. The one who screams is remembered as chaotic. The one who remains calm becomes myth. People whisper, "How can they stay so composed?" That whisper is power. But calm isn't withdrawal. It's a chosen temperature, one you can direct at will. Doesn't that change how you see every heated exchange? Because coldness doesn't just hold back, it reframes the entire arena. And if emotions can be transmuted into clarity, what happens when society itself becomes the stage where vibration decides the winner? Society loves its theater. Every conflict becomes a show, every word a performance, every silence a headline. But here's the truth. People don't really watch the accusation, they watch your vibration. It's less about what's said and more about the energy you radiate while it's happening. Think of ancient temples where initiates trained to stay centered as chaos swirled around them. Isn't it strange how the calmest presence always steals the spotlight? I've seen this play out in workplaces and family gatherings. Someone throws accusations, expecting drama, but the one who doesn't bite ends up commanding the whole room. Their silence feels like a mirror. Others can sense who's grounded and who's unraveling. It's theater, yes, but you're the actor who refuses to follow the script. Haven't you noticed how even crowds respect the one who stays still? Here's a practice. Next time you feel pulled into society's drama, visualize yourself as if you're sitting in the audience instead of on the stage. Watch the scene unfold as if you weren't the target. That detachment creates space. You see the illusion for what it is. Try this for 30 seconds the next time you're triggered, and notice how the grip of the moment loosens. Isn't it liberating to realize you don't have to play? Social media is just the latest version of this theater. People post, accuse, comment, waiting for reactions because reactions equal ratings. But the adept plays a different role, refusing to let the crowd dictate their script. When you choose not to enter the drama, your aura grows heavier than any trending comment. Don't you think mystery lasts longer than noise? This is why the ancients warned, be in the world, but not of it. You live among the illusions, but you don't let them rewrite your essence. Your silence becomes a kind of law, subtler, but more binding than words. And if you can stand firm while the crowd clamors, haven't you already won the play? But what happens when the stage expands beyond physical crowds and into the digital tribunal, where every whisper becomes an echo 1,000-fold? Today, the arena isn't just the town square or the temple, it's digital. Here, every voice multiplies, every accusation echoes 1,000-fold. And the trap, thinking you can fix your image with explanations. The more you type, the deeper the net pulls you in. But the adept doesn't chase reputation online. They let even slander bend into myth. They call me dangerous because they can't control me. Isn't that more powerful than any defense? Think of public figures who never reply to critics. Their silence creates mystery while their aura grows. Meanwhile, those who argue endlessly look smaller, drained, as if they've handed their energy to the mob. I've even seen this in small circles, group chats, comment threads, office emails. The one who refuses to engage always feels like the giant in the room. Haven't you noticed that? Here's a micro practice. Before posting, ask yourself, does this raise my vibration or defend it? If it's defense, delete it. If it elevates, post it. Try this filter for 1 week. You'll be shocked at how much lighter you feel and how much stronger your presence becomes. Doesn't it sound freeing to never feel trapped into answering noise? In the digital tribunal, rhythm is everything. Today's scandal is tomorrow's forgotten post. What rises will always fall. The Hermetic law of rhythm reminds us. Cycles turn endlessly, and the unmoved one outlasts them all. If you hold steady, the tide carries the noise away without effort. Isn't patience sometimes the sharpest sword? Here's the key. Never let urgency trick you into response. In the online world, urgency is bait. The longer you stay silent, the clearer your vibration becomes to those watching. And here's the beauty. Others will often step in to defend you, carrying your silence as their banner. Haven't you seen how powerful it is when your stillness sparks someone else's voice? But silence and patience aren't the only tools. Beyond refusing to react, there are subtle weapons you can wield that turn attacks into keys of power. And the question is, what are those hidden weapons? The adept never wastes energy on clumsy defense. Instead, they carry a set of subtle weapons. The first is silence, an invisible shield that disarms an attack by refusing resonance. When you don't echo back, the vibration dies in the air. It's like refusing to clap at the end of a play. Without applause, the performance loses its magic. Haven't you noticed how silence often unsettles more than shouting ever could? The second weapon is deflection. Instead of meeting force with force, you let it glance off and return to the sender. Think of verbal aikido. Someone calls you arrogant, and you answer with calm humor. Maybe confidence looks that way to you. Suddenly, the blow is turned back without you lifting a finger. Doesn't it feel lighter to redirect energy instead of blocking it head-on? Then there are short seals, phrases that end the spell before it grows. Words like "so it is" or "if you say so" act like closing a book mid-sentence. The attacker is left hanging mid-performance with no stage left to stand on. Try it sometime. Pick one short seal and carry it with you. Can you imagine how freeing it would feel to stop a storm with just 3 words? Here's a practice. Choose one of these tools and rehearse it today. Spend 10 seconds in front of a mirror, saying your chosen seal with steady breath. Watch your reflection as you say it. Notice how even your body language begins to shift. Doesn't it feel like you're carrying an invisible sword? Remember, these aren't tricks. They're keys of vibration. The Emerald Tablets warned, power is lost not by weakness, but by speaking without mastery. Every unnecessary word is energy spilled, but every chosen silence, every seal, builds your aura stronger. Isn't it clearer now why the adept doesn't defend, they wield? And yet, the highest mastery goes beyond blocking, redirecting, or sealing. It's about using the attack itself as raw fuel, turning it into your own momentum. But how exactly do you do that? The adept never blocks, they redirect. Think of it like martial arts for the soul. Instead of resisting, you let the force pass through, only to come back stronger. In alchemy, dissolution always comes before transformation. The same applies here. An attack isn't an end, it's raw material. Every insult, every attempt to cut you down becomes fuel. Haven't you noticed how sometimes the harder they push, the taller you stand? Picture someone trying to humiliate you in public. Instead of shrinking, you let their words flow through like water around stone. Later, those same words become part of your story, a story of resilience that inspires others. Their strike is now your fire. That's the law of cause and effect. Every force they send eventually returns multiplied. Isn't it poetic justice that their attack forges your strength? Here's something practical. When you feel hit, pause and ask, how can I use this? That simple question turns victimhood into strategy. Someone mocks you, you use it as motivation to sharpen your skills. A boss criticizes unfairly, you use the sting to fuel your next breakthrough. Try this reframe once and you'll feel the shift. Doesn't it sound like Aikido for the spirit? The ancients trained for this by practicing inner alchemy. Just as they transformed lead into gold, they turned wounds into wisdom. You can do the same. Journal after a conflict, not about the pain, but about the power hidden inside it. What lesson did it carry? What strength did it awaken? Over time, you'll see your greatest scars are also your greatest treasures. Isn't that the essence of transformation? In digital times, this is even sharper. Hate comments, slander, rejection, turn them into myth. Let them circulate, then step forward shining brighter. The contrast only amplifies your aura. Remember, what doesn't move you strengthens you. And what strengthens you weakens them by default. Doesn't it feel like the blade always turns back? But the final level of mastery isn't just about redirecting attacks. It's about transcending reputation altogether, stepping into a vibration so strong that others defend you without your effort. So what happens when aura itself becomes the currency of power? Reputation is fragile. It's built on whispers, opinions, shifting crowds. Aura, though, is untouchable. Reputation lives in the mouths of others. Aura radiates from your very being. The corpus hermeticum reminds us that once your vibration is established, it speaks louder than any defense you could ever give. Haven't you seen how some people walk into a room and the atmosphere changes before they even speak? Think of leaders who never bother answering every critic. Their reputation may be debated, but their aura is undeniable. Silence becomes scripture, stillness becomes law. And here's the paradox: the less they defend, the more others rush to defend them. Doesn't that sound like the kind of power no reputation score can buy? Here's something you can try. Each morning, before stepping into the world, take 30 seconds to center yourself. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, and visualize your body glowing with a field of calm light. Imagine it extending 3 feet around you. Walk into your day carrying that aura, and watch how people respond differently without you saying a word. Doesn't it feel like influence begins before words are spoken? Platforms thrive on reputation, likes, followers, shares, but aura transcends those metrics. A post can vanish, an aura endures. When you embody inevitability, people feel it, even through a screen. That's why the adept doesn't seek approval, they cultivate vibration. Isn't it freeing to realize you can carry power that algorithms can't measure? This is the secret. Reputation fades with trends, but aura imprints itself on memory. And once you carry that field, you don't chase validation, it comes to you. The real work is not in polishing reputation, but in deepening presence. So the question becomes, what if the truest measure of power isn't in what they say about you, but in what you radiate without saying anything at all? And now that we've uncovered how silence, mirrors, coldness, and aura weave into a hidden code of mastery, what if I told you there's an ancient trick, one final key, that changes who truly holds power? So now you know the real power isn't in defending, it's in standing still while the storm passes. Every accusation, every attack, every echo online is just a test to see if you'll hand over your energy. When you stay silent, when you reframe, when you let your aura speak, you step into a different league of power, one that no crowd, no comment, no critic can touch. The choice is yours. Will you keep burning energy on explanations, or will you rise into the field where silence becomes law? Try it today. Pause before answering, breathe, and notice how the entire atmosphere shifts around you. That moment alone can change everything. And tell me, power or perception, which one do you trust more? If this message sparked something in you, make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next step in this path. Share this with someone who's drowning in noise. They need to hear it. And if this resonated, like the video, save it. Let's stay in your library as a reminder. This isn't entertainment, it's memory waking up. And if you're ready to go deeper, the journey doesn't end here. On the screen right now is the next video waiting for you, the one that takes this hidden code and expands it into the next level of mastery. Click it and keep walking, because once you've begun, silence itself starts guiding the way.